All right, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us for the webinar today. So this webinar is going to be focused on our roundup of our apps of the month that we've been running over the past 6 months or so. Pleased to be joined by my colleagues Izzy and Robbie today. These are the guys that have been heading up the work in terms of finding the most appropriate apps and also delivering some of the webinars that we've done over that 6-month period as well. Obviously, the purpose of this is we're going to have a quick sort of run through really of all of those ones that we featured, just to give you a reminder of those key ones. But then also we're going to just get into a little bit more detail about how we think that they might be relevant to some of the challenges that a lot of clients are facing, or things that they can do to help improve efficiencies of those processes, as well as kicking out some good financial information out the back of them as well. And then we'll focus, each of us have chosen what we consider to be our favourite from those 6 months that we sort of featured as well. So I'm just going to share my screen a sec so that we can bring this up. So I'm going to run on to the first slide, so our first app that we featured. So Fluidly. So Izzy, tell us a little bit about Fluidly.
Yeah, sure. So Fluidly was the first app that we ran with back in May. It was a good one to start off with because this is all about cash flow forecasting. So it's an app that can integrate in with your Xero or QuickBooks accounting software. It uses the information from your Xero or your QuickBooks to generate a cash flow that can go up to 12 months in forecasting. So it's a really good tool to kind of get a little bit of predictability and help you with your business planning in terms of what you can do with your spending for the future, making sure that you're healthy. It's also got a cool feature on it called scenario planning. So if you are thinking about hiring extra staff, or can you afford to buy that new van, or whatever it may be, and you're wondering how that's going to affect your cash flow, then you can play around with the figures and get that into your forecast and see how that's going to affect your cash flow and if you can afford to do those changes and make those decisions. So really good to help you with doing business planning, making those smart financial decisions.
I think with the scenario planner as well, what I thought was really, really useful for it is it obviously allows some default information within there anyway, doesn't it? So it sort of prompts or reminds you of bits that might be relevant if you're purchasing a new property, if you're taking on a new unit, a new van, something like that. So there's some key sort of like simple reminders in there so that you don't miss some of the relevant costs that might be applicable. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah.
Also, as well, for this, when Izzy was saying about the 12-month thing, this is only useful for you if you've got up-to-date bookkeeping. No, we must stress this because it's going to pull off figures and it will be completely useless to you. So obviously make sure everything is up to date, and then it will give you the best outcome and obviously for your forecasting.
And this integrates directly with Xero and QuickBooks.
And QuickBooks as well, yeah, both of them. So they're useful for both of those main accounting softwares. It integrates automatically as well, so you don't need to go in and refresh the integration and have to wait. It's something that's done automatically as and when you change your accounting software.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the cool things with it as well, in the fact of that it does that integration straight away, because of, I think the biggest thing that we found with cash flow forecasting over the years is people tend to use a spreadsheet, I think, to do that primarily.
Which is timely.
It's timely, yeah, and also the information is static, so it's not reflecting if things have changed or things will change going forward. So from a time saving point of view, I think this one is where we probably got a big win on that for people, I think, really.
Yeah.
And I know Robbie's sort of heading up the coordination internally for Fluidly. So we're still running the free trial, Robbie, at the moment?
Yeah, still free trial. It runs out in January. So the last time you can get free trial with us is January. And obviously, so yeah, just let us know. We can set up, we can obviously also go through any training with you if you want to. We can also, because we've partnered with Fluidly, we can set up a meeting with them. So any questions you've got, send it our way and we can certainly do that for you.
Yeah, I think... Go on, Izzy.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say that we actually did like a demonstration video as well with someone from Fluidly. So they came and they did a webinar for us and our clients. If our clients did miss that though, then it's on our YouTube channel. Yeah. So people can have a look at that as well if they want to kind of see what it's about in a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely good. And I think the key thing and the reason also for a free trial is we really want clients to get some hands-on experience of using it.
Yeah.
With Robbie's support along the way in terms of making sure they get the most value out of it, to see how important this can be and how it should integrate as part of your sort of routine accounting that you do past just that sort of information comes out of zero.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's Fluidly. So on to our next month, which was focused on A2X.
Yeah, so A2X was next in June. This is all to do with e-commerce. So we once again had another webinar with A2X. Great webinar. She was showing everything within the software, like a brief demo. So once again, that's on our YouTube channel. So obviously we can send you links to that one. The main thing we found with the e-commerce was a lot of the time the errors we would find is when the money would come into the bank, people would assume that is your income. However, this is the net, and obviously it's not accounting for fees and everything like that. And what A2X does for you, it breaks it down. So I'll have this whole invoice and how many other fees there are. I'll have it all listed out for you. So you are accounting for your turnover correctly. You've got the gross value, but obviously there's no difference in position because it's still the net, because obviously it nets itself off. But that was one of the key features that we thought was automated for you already, the fact that you didn't have to do it yourself, and it was great. It also, what it does as well, it counts for any taxation. So if there might be multiple taxations in potentially where you purchased it from, or sorry, sold it from, or anything like that, so it will work out the taxes for you.
Yeah, so VAT was a biggie on that, isn't
yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah, because you might be selling in different countries or whatever, so obviously they might have different VAT codes and everything like that. So it's all set up for you in the background. So this is one of those ones where you got a one-time. It might take a little bit of time setting up everything, but once you're set up, it's great because it knows it's going to post this to this account code, this to this account code. The tax is set up for this area. So, and it's obviously just makes it so accurate and compliant to everything. And in the long run, it saves you so much time than the bookkeeping for it.
I was going to say, I think part of this that we've seen in terms of where I guess it adds the most benefit to people as well as that higher volume of transactions. So yeah, we've seen that with clients that have grown their sort of e-commerce side of what they're doing, hopefully their daily transactions are quite significant through these various platforms that this links with.
Yeah.
But again, rather than having the time-consuming nature of keying in separate items, then this obviously allows a bit more of a bulk import to that. And as Robbie says, once that initial configuration is done, then that time saving is compounded month on month in terms of what you're doing. Obviously, as hopefully you can then focus on continuing to grow what you're doing as well.
Yeah, and as you can see, obviously on the screen, there's all the big ones, Amazon, eBay, Shopify, they integrate with lots of, and all the accountancy softwares on the right hand side as well. So it's just a good feature, and it just helps with reconciliation massively. Really, really, really good.
Yeah, and I would go as well as the reconciliation, I think it's the analysis that you can get out of it as well.
So
that breakdown of information, hopefully, again, that can be used better to help people make decisions around what they're doing, products, business, sales.
Oh yeah, you can see what the fees you are charging for a particular, like for Shopify example, that's the amount of fees I've got for this one, it's a really good breakdown and obviously when you run your reports, you can maybe run it by sort of supplier. So that's great.
Yeah. Excellent. Good. And again, like we said, that video, we did do a webinar on this one, didn't we?
Yeah.
With them as well.
With Elspeth, yeah.
Elspeth, that's it. So that's on.
It was quite a popular video, actually.
It was, yes. It was our third most popular video currently.
Cool. So following month, I know this one's a shared one between you. So
yeah.
yeah, this is a good month, July. So me and Robbie wanted to look at document automation and management for this month. There's been this big move in using software that people are now wanting to go to a more paperless kind of route. And keeping everything together digital and in the cloud is a really good way to easily access all of your documents, all your source records, all that good stuff all in one place. You can, as long as you've got an internet connection, you can access those records. Yeah. So this was important for us, and we found two big ones, really, really good ones, which is obviously HubDoc and Dext. I looked at HubDoc because it is the Xero product, obviously, and I am a big Xero nerd. So that's the one that I really, really like. Definitely one of my favorites from the list. So the idea is that you put all of your source records into HubDoc. HubDoc will automatically file those away for you based on the supplier name, customer name, however it is. And as well as doing that automatic filing system for you, it will also pull off the digital information from that invoice to be pushed through into Xero, so that you're not having to manually type out that information on that invoice. So really, really big time saver, and also a good way to organize yourself.
Yeah, no, and Dex is very similar as well. And the key feature we always think is, we as bookkeepers here as well, we use these softwares, and the amount of time it's saved us as well. Yeah, I'm not sure why people don't use them, if I'm honest with you, because, and also what with the both supply of HubDoc and Dex, it remembers. So if you've got multiple one supplier which you use on a very regular basis, it will sort of remember where it's been previously. So that's another time consumer. If you buy the same thing from the same company each time, it's just one click button there. But for Dext, add a few extra features which HubDoc didn't, which was one, it did a document fetching. So you could, if you've got an online account with a supplier like an Amazon or Travis Perkins or something like that, as long as you set it up, it will find that it'll get the documents for you. So each month there's a new one added in, it will send it to Dex ready for you to do it. So then you don't have to download it, you don't have to upload it to Dex, it's already there for you. So that's a great feature. Also, staff can upload expenses, so they could send a load of receipts, put a expense claim in there. And because Dex has a user functionality, so you can have multiple users with different sort of varying access, you could get someone to upload the staff expenses, and then the manager could log in and then approve it, and then that sends that expense to Xero ready, or QuickBooks, to be reconciled. So another good feature. And then the final feature that was really good with Dex, which I want to point out, was the foreign payment matching. So if you've got the currency conversion set up on your accountancy software, and you get an invoice in dollars, for example, it will automatically work out what the exchange rate is, first of all, at that time of date. And also, if there's a payment in the bank, obviously that exchange rate could be different to when you're either uploading the invoice or the date of the invoice. It will change the amount for you. So it does that currency conversion for you. And it's just such a key feature when you are dealing with currency conversions. So they're the three main things that has extra.
And with the fetch part of it,
yeah,
that was linked. It was like thousands, wasn't it?
Oh, there's a huge number of lists. Yeah, so probably some small ones, massive ones, anyone. But as I said, the key thing is you do have to have an online account. So it's not like you can just buy from these people. You have to set up an online account if you've not already got one, and then all the documents in there we've found. And you can backdate it as well. So say, for example, you're doing, I don't know, you're catching up on your bookkeeping, and you've got your supplier, you can log in and then say, I want to fetch documents from this date onwards, and it will bring all of them for you as well, which is great.
Cool. And it's probably worth explaining as well how this links with email. So things that are received by email and
yeah. So both of them, obviously Izzy will say as well. If you get an email with an attachment, you can forward it straight to it. It has like a default email address which you copy to a clipboard. You send it to that email address, and then it scans it in for you. And it's just so quick and easy. Then you don't have to download it from the email address. It's just the automation is so quick. It's great.
Yeah, it's the method that I mostly use to get invoices into HubDoc in the first place. You have your email address, invoices come in, you forward it into HubDoc, so that when you come to your point where you sit down to do your finances, they'll all be there ready for you. And obviously, we can't forget as well that both HubDoc and Dext have apps on their phones. So if you're out and about and you've got that fuel receipt that typically gets stuck in a glove compartment and then lost, or in a handbag, and then you can't even read the ink on it anymore. When you've got these apps on your phone, you can just take a picture of the receipt there and then if you lose the receipt, it's not a big deal, because you've got the digital copy stored in HubDoc, stored in Dext, and then you don't lose the opportunity to claim whatever VAT or any expenses from that.
I think that's a really great point to emphasize here as well, in terms of digitalized records. So HMRC's stance on it has changed over the years, in terms of, there was a patch we went through where you'd have to keep both still. So even if you had a digital or scanned in version, then you had to have hard copies of things as well. Now it's very much that, you know, if you're taking photos of those things, and that does form part of your source record for your business as well. So yeah, that's a big shift for people.
And with these softwares as well, it's stored first of all on your accountancy software and on your Dext or HubDoc as well. So you've got multiple ways of finding this document if you ever need it. It's great for us accountants as well. So if you do your own bookkeeping and you do use these software, we can then find the document. We don't have to go and email you, say, can we have this invoice? It's ready for us in accountancy.
Massively reduces the amount of queries we have to ask our clients.
It's centralized, isn't it? From that point, that's the main thing, is that all the systems are sort of linked together, and you can follow it through, can't you?
Definitely.
Cool. So I think that's one that, again, we're really encouraging people to make sure that they're thinking about how they can integrate this into what they do.
Yeah, and especially for zero users, because HubDoc is actually free for zero users. So definitely want to push on to there. And again, we've done some demo videos on how to use them as well, actually. So we did those back in July. So they'll be on our social media in July, but they're also on our YouTube channel as well. So if people are interested in seeing exactly what it's about and how to use them, that's how they can access them.
Yeah, I think as a general point there, I think we'll obviously be doing more videos of different things on the how-tos and sort of frequently asked questions and stuff that come up around software and stuff, so that you've got a point of reference that you can go to as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So moving on to next month, we've got Mile IQ.
Yeah, so this was one that I've actually been recommending for a while anyway, because one big thing that we sort of noticed with clients is that they didn't know that you can claim for business miles that are driven in your personal vehicle. So to be able to do that, we recommend that you keep a mileage log, so that you keep a record of everything that you're traveling and why you're doing that travel, so you can claim it. You can claim 45p per mile for the first 10,000 miles. And if you provide that mileage log, then we can put that claim on your accounts for you. But if you're doing quite a lot of business travel in your personal vehicle, or you have staff that are doing the same, then that's the point that I would recommend that maybe you move on to a software, and that would be Mile IQ is definitely the best one. So the way that it works is you obviously keep your phone on you when you're doing your travel. It tracks where you're going and the trips that you do. And then when you open up the Mile IQ app, it will show you each travel that you have done, and you swipe left on that travel to say it's business, or you swipe right on it to say that it's personal. And then again, this integrates with accounting software, so that information goes straight into your accounting software, and then you can make that claim.
And I think what's really, really important with this one is that we've seen over the years where if a client's unfortunate to have a HMRC inquiry, then mileage logs are one of the things that they do check and go back on to make sure that that information's there. So with anything, this includes any other records and so on that you keep, the more detailed the records that you've got, the stronger that your ability to answer those questions is effectively. So this is a really neat way of doing it without really thinking too much about what you're doing. And again, replaces what we see a lot as another spreadsheet, really. So this is, you don't need to have another spreadsheet to sort of go through this.
Yep.
Okay, I think Izzy's just dropped off, so I think her internet connection might have just dropped off there. So we will continue on. I think that was everything from a Mile IQ point.
Yeah, it was just a one back in August, and we just put some social media posts out. So obviously we can resend them to you guys if need be.
Yeah. Cool. So property management.
Yeah, so property management was our September month. We didn't just do one particular property management software because we just know that we have varying clients who have varying portfolios. So not all property management softwares are going to be the right one for you. So we thought what we do is we'll break it down for these 5 sort of situations. So obviously, when we talk about units, we're always talking about it's a tenancy agreement rather than an actual property. So with Landlord Studio, this one was obviously we didn't recommend it for limited companies. It was just sort of for self-assessment ones. We have 2 to 9 units. And so once again, tenancy agreements. It runs on a cash basis. So it was pretty good. It was very simple to use. They had, within the software, had simplified categories. So it's not going to bombard you. You're not going to have hundreds of categories. You're going to have like a repairs and maintenance code and stuff like that. So it was quite simple to use. It's very cheap as well. So it's the cheapest option on this list here. And it also allowed, because it was a cash basis, it allowed to use the zero cash book version, which is obviously another cheaper option, which doesn't give you the sort of bulk, but if it's just a recording, that's why we recommended it. It only was with zero though at the time. I don't know if they are planning to put QuickBooks on there, but at the time it was only zero. So then we had Rentancy, which we went for a little bit more established, and obviously for limited companies as well, because obviously we're looking at 10 to 50. There's not saying that you couldn't use any of these with any level you're talking about. Obviously Landlord Studio, if you got a bit bigger, we probably wouldn't recommend it as much. But with Rentancy and Arthur, you can start with these as well. This one was actually recommended at Xerocon 2020, which Izzy went to. It was one of their stamp of approvals that Xero actually had given. It had basically the same sort of features with Landlord Studio. They all have like a calendar, which you can set up with you can put like your repairs and maintenance things in there, or your rent's due this month and stuff like that. So they all those features, but this one had a really good feature where it integrated with WhatsApp. And you could send messages to your tenants, and they can send messages to you. So obviously they can make a request to say, there's a broken toilet, can you come fix this? And you also could do this with talking with contractors as well. This one had a low subscription fee, which was also good, but did require a setup fee. So Rentancy wanted to sit down with you and get it all set up to start with. Once again, like A2X does all the job first, you know, sort of getting it job done there and then, so then you're not worrying about it later on. Well, next we had Arthur, which is probably the main one that most people probably have heard of. It is the big one that most people, and it obviously with the pricing, it starts at 45 units. Once again, this is one that it's not saying you have to have 45 units to start with. You could start with how many you want, because this allows you to grow. So it's a great app. It's my app. This is the one I've picked. I like the most. They had some good. A demo that I had with them. So obviously that's something we can set up with you if you wanted to see a demo with them. And the main features that I had with is it also had an end-to-end solution. So what, like Rentancy, where a tenant can say, request something, the smoothness of this was just great. It was really, really good. But the main feature that we picked out that we really liked was it had a public listing of contractors. So contractors can sign up with Arthur, because most of the time we have seen that people who have properties, they have their own they know someone, or they've got their regular contractor they use to do their repairs and maintenance jobs. Obviously, they can sometimes be busy, or you've got multiple properties, maybe with 2 different problems at the same time. You could log on to this public list that people signed up with Arthur, and you can send message to them saying, can you do this job? And it's the interaction between the two. It's just peace of mind knowing that you can get this set up, and obviously any problems you've got with your jobs, it can be done quite quickly. The next one we had was B&B Tally, and that is designed for service to accommodation, furnished holiday lets. This was for Airbnb and Vrbo. Booking.com wasn't integrated yet. So that was one, obviously, I don't know if they're looking into. This was to really help, once again, kind of like A2X, where the common error we see with the bookkeeping is the money coming into the account. They assume it's the sales. Once again, that's not correct. There's a gross amount of sales, but there's also fees involved. So like a cleaning fee potentially, or commission, payment charges, stuff like that. So this, oh, hello, Izzy.
Hiya.
Internet problems.
Technical difficulties.
Don't worry, you've just listened to me waffle on, so that's all right. So yeah, so we with this one, it breaks down the fees within the software to then publish to your accountancy software. So then the reconciliation is correct. So you're grossing up your sales correctly with your fees included. Also, like that, it does a property tracking. So if you've got multiple properties, you can put a property tracking on, which also you can do in Xero and QuickBooks as well. But it sets up for you ready and it publishes it through. And the final one was Released, which was for commercial landlords. So it starts at 75 licenses. So we're talking like you've got a lot, like maybe lots of HMOs or something like that. It was quite pricey, but we wanted to put it out there just because it did wow me when I looked at it. They had a calendar, but it was like a smart calendar. It was like top notch, and like you could do anything on it.
It was one step below doing your laundry for you, wasn't it?
It pretty much
do
was.
Everything.
Yeah, it was all singing, all dancing. And I'm assuming that's how they justify the price. But as I said, we only recommend this for like someone who is like got lots of tenancies or lots of properties with that. We do like to say that they all have their own, they're all quite similar. They do have the similarities. Like, as I said, they all allow for you to put all your documents on there. So your tenancy agreements, your gas safety certificates, everything like that. It's a cloud-based software as well. So you can have that all on there. And that's another question we get quite a lot as well. We ask, can we have the tenancy agreement? Can we have this? And it's stored here. So it's easy for you to then just log in, download it and send it to us, or we can access it.
I think the main thing with like these ones in particular is the fact that it kicks out some financials is just a happy outcome, really, isn't it? It's the fact that some of these have got far greater tools in them that help somebody run their property portfolio.
Yeah.
Well, rather than just see it from it's good for Xero or good for QuickBooks or good for the accountant or whoever. So
exactly. Yeah. So like you can run your business through these apps because you got your calendar, so you know that okay, that job needs to be done, or that you run it through that way. You can just know that this is going to push to Xero or QuickBooks, so then we can do the stuff in the background, and then where you're still running the business with the day-to-day stuff. Like, yeah, they're all really good. There was lots out there, and obviously we did a lot of research on them all, and there is a video going over these ones. So more of the key features for each 5 of them. But yeah, that's fine.
And these are, like you said, they are quite different price points, aren't they? Depending on where somebody's going with this as well, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So obviously you could start, like, for example, as I said, you could do Arthur for the low end. It might cost you quite a bit of money to start with, but if you did grow your business, then because it does start with a 45 unit one, whereas obviously Landlord Studio is your cheaper option to start with, maybe to grow your business, and then you might outgrow them or whatever. But yeah, they do vary in price.
Cool. Okay, excellent. And then our last month's one we're focused on, I think,
it's the payment one.
Payment services.
Izzy, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So this was literally just last month, actually. We talked about payment services. So these are those little buttons on your invoices that customers can click pay now, and then they're able to enter their details and then pay for your invoice straight away. So it seems like a simple tool, but actually it's a really big benefit. I mean, Xero's done some research to show that people get paid twice as fast when they have these payment links linked onto them. I mean, even us ourselves as Riverview, we use these payment services, so it's a really, really good advantage to get your invoices paid. So looking at the ones that are on the screen at the moment, you've got Go Cardless, which allows you to do those kind of direct debit mandate forms if you want them, but you can also use it for bank transfers. PayPal is obviously via payment via PayPal, but if you are a QuickBooks user, then this is the one that you would also use if you wanted to pay by debit card or credit card, or sorry, you want your customers to pay by debit and credit card. And then Stripe is for debit and credit card payments for Xero, because Stripe isn't available on QuickBooks. But since last month, actually, there was another one that cropped up. It won the Xero App Awards for 2022. So I thought, since we're doing a little bit of a summary, I'd throw it in there now just to let you guys know that Cresco is the new up and comer. This is one that will allow you to pay by bank transfer, or your customers to pay by bank transfer. So one of those big things that are coming up now when you're paying for things online is it will take you over to your banking app when you're on your phone or something like that, and then you enter your passcode or you scan your thumb, and then it will allow you to pay by bank transfer. And the good thing with Cresco is if it's not an international payment, it actually doesn't have any fees deducted from the bank transfer as well. So that's a really good one that I just wanted to bring to attention. So Cresco is one that does have a monthly subscription though, so that's how they make their money, but there is a free version on there, but the free version won't allow you to have like the branded checkout. It doesn't do the onboarding for you, and support is a little bit weakened compared to when you're paying for the monthly subscription.
And of the ones that clients are using at the moment, have we seen, like obviously Cresco is new, so probably not seeing so much of that at the moment. Are we seeing any of these more across the client base?
Well, the good thing about the payment services is that you can actually add multiple onto your account, because then you're giving your customer the option to choose how they want to pay you.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it depends on the type of sale that you're doing. Obviously, direct debits would be better for those that are doing any offering monthly services that require it, but people that do one-off payments for certain invoices, that's where you're going to be looking at Stripe and PayPal and Cresco.
Go Cardless have got quite a good feature on their website actually. If you've paid for something and you can't remember what it is, you can enter the details on their website. We can send a link for this. You put the amount in, the date is paid, and your bank details, and it will tell you what you paid and potentially an invoice reference number. That's like a really cool feature that I've been using recently. Like sometimes if I can't work out what it is, that's a cool feature I found on the Go Cardless website.
Because with Go Cardless, if I'm right, that there are still different levels of subscription with them, isn't there? That then also changes how the payment's shown on your.
I think so. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Bank account, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. Okay, so that was last month. So I'm going to just stop the screen share a sec. Obviously, for anybody that's online, if there's any questions from the bits that we've sort of gone through so far, then please feel free to drop those into the chat box, and we'd be more than happy to sort of answer those as we go along. I think the next bit we focus on is that we all picked one of those apps that we've gone through over those last 6 months, which is our star pick, I think we referred it to. So Izzy, I'll come to you first for your star pick.
All right, so star pick for me is definitely hands down HubDoc. Didn't even have to think about it. The fact that it's free for Xero users is obviously a big selling point for it. And getting yourself onto the cloud, getting paperless is a really good way to be efficient and also be compliant in terms of making sure that your source records are kept safely and viewable by any collaborators as well. So that's your bookkeepers, your accountants, yourself, your partners.
Cool. And with HubDoc, we still see it. What would we guess that the usage rate of HubDoc is on Xero? Like outside,
Shouldn't be as high as it should be.
Should be way higher.
Yeah, it should be. Really, really encourage it. I mean, I know that all of our bookkeepers here are using it. Even if you're a bookkeeping client watching this, you might not even know that we're using it for you, but we will be. Just because it speeds up our bookkeeping process time a lot. So really do recommend that you have a look at that demo video I made, and get in touch with me if you want something a little bit more detailed, or if you've got any questions. I know that at the time that we released the video, I did get some good feedback and questions from people, so we did get a lot of engagement from it. But yeah, really encourage that it gets boosted.
Yeah, and I think we'll keep reminding people of these things, because it can be quite easy. And the reason why we wanted to have a bit of a focus effort like per month in terms of doing this is that so that they're not forgotten. So you might see things come up again. That may be because if they've added new features to the app, or how we're using them, or what's out there for people. So this will be a consistent thing that we'll be doing in terms of making sure that you don't lose sight of these handy things that are out there to help you, really.
Yeah.
Cool. So Robbie, star pick for you.
Yeah, so mine was Arthur. We've got plenty of property clients, and we've seen plenty of property accounts, and so obviously it was quite difficult to pick between a lot. But for me, Arthur was, even as I said previously, obviously, like, it does have a starts at 45 units. As I said, it doesn't mean you can't start using it from day one. It allows you to grow as well. So obviously, because you've got that basis already, the support was excellent. So when I've had a couple of demo and webinars with them, they were really helpful, really friendly. It's the most popular one as well. As I said, most people probably, if they're looking at property management softwares, they probably have heard of Arthur. I know Xero is one of the big apps on the App Store. And as I said, the feature that I liked the best was just the contractor thing, where you're never stuck. Then you've always got your job, so you can send to these people who, once again, it's not just, you're not picking up random people. They have to register with Arthur. So obviously Arthur are going to be taking some consideration into this before putting them on there. So that, and then the final thing is just, as Dan previously said, you can run your business through Arthur. So you've got your calendar, so you know when stuff is due. So it just eases your mind that you know that this software is going to help you run your business, rather than you got, like, you might have a booklet or you're writing stuff down. It's all there for you on a web-based cloud.
Cool. And just to be clear, with number of units,
yes,
a unit can be a room in a HMO, isn't it?
Correct.
That's
yeah.
Unit,
so if you got HMO, yeah, exactly. It's a tenancy agreement. Obviously, yeah, if you got HMO with 6 people in it, that's 6 units. So you've got your 6 towards your 45 already. So if you've got lots of HMOs, it's a perfect one for you. Yeah. As I said, that's what we always try to, in the demo or webinar we tried to reiterate, we're not expecting you to have 45 properties. It's 45 tenancies. Yeah. So that obviously then makes it look, so HMOs are perfect for Arthur.
And I think often, obviously, with things like that and potential volume, there's obviously is going to be some configuration / time that's needed to again get that right and get it functioning the way that you want to.
Yeah, and Arthur the support is really good, and they'll set this up for you at the start. So then ongoing support, you'll have us as ongoing support, but obviously Arthur as well.
Yeah.
And as you said, Dan, as well, if you do have a HMO with 6 people, for example, and you've got 6 tenancy agreements, it can all be stored on Arthur. So you're not losing your tenancy agreements or anything like that. So it's just a great app.
Cool. And then my star pick was Fluidly. So the first one that we did. I think it's just a really good app in terms of some of the features it's got there with the scenario planning that we mentioned earlier. So it's really key because it just reminds people of all sorts of scenarios that can be there, so that you don't forget the insurance, the tax, the such and such for your vehicle, whatever that's on there in terms of building that in. And also probably over the career I've been in, time lost on cash flow spreadsheets, if that can become a thing of the past, or certainly limit that amount of time, then I think that's a massive win. Obviously, with everything that's sort of going on at the moment, as we move into 2023, I think cash flow management, I think, is going to be something that's really, really important for people to keep their eye and keep their focus on. Again, I think often it's been left as it's a big task because I'm playing around with spreadsheets so quickly outdated. So they don't become something that people routinely keep up to date. It's also something that people tend to focus on when something's gone wrong rather than when something's going right. So I think that's, again, a cash flow mindset switch that I think is quite important, that actually having good cash flow allows you to do good things to help you grow your business. So yeah, I think for me, with a lot that's going on, a lot of opportunity that's out there as well, I think Fluidly for me is probably most relevant. The app's great, but most relevant as well for sort of businesses day to day in terms of maybe some of the things that might be coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say Fluidly, and I said Robbie has been talking with a number of clients and contacts of ours in terms of that free trial.
Yeah.
And really the point of that is just to try and get people to actually see it, use it. Because we want to make sure people get value out of any of the stuff that we mentioned today. It really isn't just a case of going, here's a great app. It's a great app if you use it right.
Yeah.
And that can be said for Xero and QuickBooks and so on as well. They're great apps if they're used right. So again, we just want to encourage people to try and get the most out of them, really, from that point of view.
Yep, no, I agree.
So I think those are, I think, 3 good picks there. I think variety of stuff in terms of relevant to different businesses, variety in terms of touch points on how they interact. And I said things that are just really, really important, I think, going forward as well in terms of what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Cool. So I haven't seen any questions pop up, I don't think. So don't be shy. If there are questions, then please do ask.
Maybe
Obviously,
we explained everything too well.
Yeah, maybe. We'll be putting obviously a recording of this up on YouTube page so that will be available again if people want to watch. We'll share out again details of Izzy and Robbie in terms of questions that might come up and a quick sort of summary of the bits and pieces that we did or that we've gone through as well, so that you can have a point of contact if there are questions that you didn't want to ask today but maybe come up later. And then I think from my perspective, I know that we've got some more stuff coming up. So this month is QuickBooks that we sort of focused on. So there is another webinar that's coming on Thursday afternoon, I believe, or Thursday lunchtime around a similar time to this. So that'll be going over key features with regards to obviously making tax digital, MTD, in terms of what's coming up and the features that QuickBooks has got. December is Xero month, I believe, is it?
It is, yeah, and I'll be doing a demo for people as well to have a look at what Xero is about and how to use it and the key features of it as well. So I'll be doing that on the 13th of December. Excellent. Again, same time as today's webinar, that's at 12:30.
Cool. And then I know that with Xero, we've also got some giveaways as well, haven't we?
We have. We got some Xero goodies. So we've got
some stuff. So people watching this, if you look out, there'll be a few opportunities to maybe get your hands on some Xero goodies that we've managed to get our hands on.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, just in time for Christmas. Some stocking fillers courtesy of Xero. I don't think we've got anything lined up yet for next year. I don't think we've gone that far. We passed the end of this year in terms of stuff. But again, what we're always looking for is really feedback from people in terms of stuff that they want to see.
Yeah.
We will be covering off, as I said earlier, some more videos in terms of maybe some frequently asked questions that sort of come up, I think, mainly on how do I do this, or what does that mean, or maybe some key features that we think people aren't using as much that could be really, really useful. So we'll be planning on doing some more of those sort of into the new year as well. But like I said, really, it's based on your feedback, things that we can do that hopefully help this be an easy process, as well as, let's say, just get better information that we can work alongside you on to make sure that keep growing your business and know where you are with it, really.
Yeah.
So Robbie, Izzy, have you got anything else to add before we wrap up?
I think we covered it pretty well.
Cool. So thanks for people that have logged in and joined us today. If you log in and watching this at a later point, say hi. Do leave comments when it's on the YouTube page as well, because that does help. It's a new thing for us that we're trying to do a little bit more of video content and so on. So the comments, the likes, subscribing to the channel as well. So you'll get notification and so on when we put new videos up. is really, really helpful as well. And like I said, that feedback to us really of what you want to see, and we'll take that on board and try and do more of these as well. So then we'll leave it at that. So have a great day, everybody. And thank you again for joining us. So we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.